correlational study would just have someone come to your home and say, Stephen, can you please answer this survey about what you eat? You answered the survey. You may lie. You may not remember. You may have things that you don't even think about including, like, for example, that you're part of a very well put together religious organization. And I actually use that example very deliberately because people who are known to be part of good, tight social circles, like a formal religious group, always live longer than people who don't. Maybe you're really lonely. Loneliness is a greater contributor to death than cigarette smoking, and it's not even close. So there could be things on that survey that you just cannot capture, and yet we end up making a conclusion. And so all of that correlational evidence is deeply flawed research, and yet that becomes the basis for the longevity guru to determine diet.
So if I'm trying to extend my longevity, trying to live longer, then exactly what should I be thinking about?
Yeah. So my view on longevity is a metabolic view. No surprise. I'm a metabolic scientist, and I don't mind someone sort of smirking at me declaring that or admitting it. But I'm somewhat justified. Just by way of setting the stage, the birth of the modern longevity research, if it didn't start, it was heavily influenced by the work of a woman named Cynthia Kenyon, Kenyon. Cynthia Kenyon was one of the she really did, in my mind, kind of give birth to the modern longevity focus. What her lab found using an insect model, and this is again a problem with the longevity gurus, is that they rely on insect data, for example, but it was compelling what she found. I think it was worms. She found in worms that if they restricted the glucose that the worms were eating, they would live 50% longer, or some fantastic increase in how long the animals lived. That kind of gave birth to the idea of fasting being beneficial, but it also allowed her lab to start playing around with some of the genes of these little insects. And when they started knocking down or underexpressing some of the genes involved in insulin, they didn't have to restrict the food. The animals just lived longer. And so that touches on this metabolic aspect. And everyone nowadays is really interested in autophagy. Autophagy is a term for a cell essentially cleaning itself out.
Which is typically associated with long fasting.
Yeah. In fact, yes.